Welcome to With the First Pick, where we're going team by team to build a perfect 7-round mock draft. Who's on the clock today? We're breaking down the Tennessee Titans' biggest needs, best fits, and sleeper picks that can make their draft. And by the time we're done, you'll have a complete blueprint for how they can dominate draft weekend. All right, it's time to get on the clock. Let's build the perfect draft. I'm Ryan Wilson. That's Emory Hunt. Mr. Emory, I'll give you the first pick, so I know whether to fire you or not for the rest of these picks. What are you doing? Number 1 overall. We're not doing trades just to keep this streamlined, but a quick little recap here. Will Levis is still there. Mason Rudolph is gone, if that floats your boat, and they have the number 1 overall pick and huge needs at the quarterback position. Emory, what do you got?
Let's go Shedeur Sanders, man. I like the fit here with Brian Callahan, the head football coach who coached Joe Burrow, who I compare Shedeur Sanders' game to. It's the top quarterback, in my opinion, in the class, although I wouldn't be upset if Cam Ward went here. But I'm going to go with Shedeur Sanders, starting the draft off right for Tennessee.
To be clear, I am Ryan Wilson. That is Emory Hunt. Send all your angry texts, emails, postal mail letters to Emory
Why
Hunt.
would somebody be angry? I mean, I will say this, though, because I know people get kind of tight about Shedeur Sanders. After watching him for 4 years, 2 at Jackson State, 2 at Colorado, finishing his college career with the highest completion percentage in NCAA history, and watching these tapes of him just constantly dominating competition and need to go get it situations, I don't see what the problem is.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, and I keep coming back to this. He had 2 really solid seasons at Colorado once he got out of FCS, and that was a real question. Can he compete at the highest level? And he proved that. And there were conversations fall of 2023 and fall of 2024 with me and now Jet scout Rick Spielman talking about that Shedeur has worked his way into the first round. I think the concern, a couple things, and you and I have talked about this, Emory. If his name was Sam Smith, we're having a different conversation. And I think, and you can tell me whether you agree or not, he's missed some layups, right? Maybe he practiced one day at the Shrine Bowl. He didn't do any of that. Maybe his interviews could have gone a little better. Not that he interviewed poorly or that he's a bad kid. None of that stuff is true. But when you compare him to Cam Ward, who's a little bit taller, a little bit thicker, a little better arm, a little better athlete, you got to start making points of differentiation. And I think the little things may have hurt his cause now that football is over. What do you think about that?
I listen, give me the talent. And at the end of the day, the talent is a talent. I think that's just a lot of people just hating on him. If his last name was Shedeur, Penderhughes, people would be like, oh, he's a clear-cut number 1. The draft starts at number 2. Well, the draft starts at number 2 because I'm taking him number 1.
I want to meet Shedeur Penderhughes because he sounds like a dude I want to spend some time with. Me and him go crush some Cinnabons or something. All right, I got you. And look, man, he's the first-round talent. The question is, do NFL teams think he's first overall, or is he going to go later in the first round? Here, he goes number 1 overall, pick 35.
All right, let's get him some help, man. Let's go wide receiver and see what we have here.
All right, let's see if we got a wide receiver.
That's another need for, oh, wow, I do like, you know what? Give me, this is tough, boy. I will say, give me a big body guy that works himself open. I like Jack Besh.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Here's the thing. I don't know how fast he is, but he plays fast. And we know about the tragedy he suffered with his family on New Year's down in New Orleans. He came to the Senior Bowl and got the MVP award, well-deserved, had a great week of practice. LSU guy, so you know how to pronounce his name properly as a Louisianan. Is that what you guys are called, Louisianans? Is that right?
Well, I am from the state of New Orleans, outside of New Orleans, state of Louisiana.
So you know it's Besh. It's not Beck. Transfer from LSU to TCU, and his tape, to quote our buddy B-Mac, was hot tape. Like, that dude can ball. Like, I sometimes question your – Debo's just hitting the button. He's ready to go. Sometimes I give you a hard time about where you have these guys ranked. Jack Besh, that may be about the spot. Maybe 35 is a little rich, but I think his tape speaks for itself, so we don't have to overthink this is what I'm saying.
Nah, he's an ex-receiver all day, and his tape at LSU, he was going to be the next great one, dealt with injuries, and just got usurped by 2 first-rounders, so can't blame him for that.
Yeah, turns out Justin Jefferson and Malik Neighbors turned out to be okay. I get it. And they need help desperately at Tennessee.
Yes.
They signed Van Jefferson to a 1-year deal, which he's probably a number 3 or number 4. They never really gotten things going with the other skill position players there. Calvin Ridley has been up and down. Treylon Burks needs to play faster, if we're being honest, but I think Jack Besh gives a big target to whoever the quarterback ends up being. In this case, it is Shedeur Sanders. Next up, we are pick 103, Emory. And which direction do we want to go here? Because they signed Dan Moore to the left tackle. They got some help on the interior defensive line with Draymond Jones. Got some help with Cody Barton at linebacker. There's still a ton of needs on this team.
Right. Let's go D-line. I'm talking about interior D-line.
All right.
And, they do need help depth-wise, but let's see. Okay, you got a good one there, too. People sleep on how good Jamari Caldwell is. He has a unique body, but I like it.
He has a hanging out with us type body. Let's be real.
Right, but he's off the ball. He's dominant. Let's go with Caldwell. I will take Caldwell.
Now hold on before you hit the button, Debo. Let me push back in the draft room here. So you want to pass on Deion Walker, who is physically one of one. Now, I've heard he's a little banged up, so the production wasn't there in 24 like it was in 23, but he had first-round buzz all throughout the summer. But you want to go with – and Caldwell, to your point, does not look like Deion Walker getting off the bus, but he does have that production.
And he can collapse the pocket as well. Here's the thing with Walker about, to your point, which is a great one, and I'm glad you brought it up. Banged up, but he's banged up with a back issue. When was the last time someone just had a minor back issue?
Right. Never.
So especially when someone being that big and that tall, having an issue with his back, I would stay wary of it. Just like in basketball, a big guy with a foot problem, I kind of want to stay away from that. So that's why I went with Caldwell, because it gives them someone else that can kind of pressure, good pad level, good off the ball. You showed at the Senior Bowl how he could whip a guy one-on-one. You pair that up with what they already have in tow. Now you're cooking with fish grease.
All right. Talk me into it. Jamari Caldwell, come on down. He's a big Pete Prisco guy, for what that's worth. He'll be on Pete's. I'm going to guess he's going to be on Pete's better than team. All right. Here we go. What do you got next?
That's tough because you see right there, Gunnar Helm, right? I know he did the admirable thing of running the 40 despite spraining his ankle. Where's his friends at? Because I would have been like, bro, don't you dare run that 40 because they're gonna hound you.
4.8 40 too,
exactly.
To your point.
So this is good value for me. Let's
Great
go
value.
to guard first. Let's go to guard and see, because I kind of like the interior offensive line help here for Shedeur. Oh, man. Listen, Lampkin, I may come back and get Lampkin in round 7.
We can't take a 5'10", 287
He's
pound
dominant,
tackle.
though. He is dominant. Let's go back to
He's
tight
a great player, but he's your size.
Right. I will double up with Helm, man, because at the end of the day, you want to kind of ensure your quarterback has success. So I'll take Gunnar Helm here. Just
you got Chikakonkwo, who's still trying to figure things out, in part because the offense hasn't worked. And Gunnar Helm has flown under the radar all fall. He didn't run the good 40 time, but that's because he's hurt. He's a good athlete, and he was a big part of that offense at Texas. I like him in the second round. So here it feels like an absolute steal. Speaking of steals, you're going to double down, do like Washington did in 2000. Was that 2012 where they took RG3 and Kirk Cousins? Quinn Ewers stared you in the face.
Right. And he's another one that fits his offense. But let's go to safety. I want to continue to, stockpile depth there in Tennessee with guys that can make plays and get the ball back. And shocking that they have Stout as a safety. I mean, we watched him just dominate at
Good
corner.
player. Caleb Ransall ran a 4.33, I believe.
Excellent player there.
Yeah, out of Tulane.
Let's go back to guard, man. Let's see what else we can get on that offensive line.
You can never have enough big guys on either side of the ball in the middle. I'm not going to push back on that. Sort of slim pickings part of the proceedings, and this guard class isn't nearly as deep as it was a year ago. Miles Frazier is a guy that I like a little better than he's listed here at LSU, but I'll leave it. The floor is yours.
Let's go to wide receiver, man. Let's go back to wide receiver.
Yep.
They need some help, man. And at the end of the day, you want people that could listen.
Pat Bryant's a big physical target, but he also fits the Traylon Burks mode. And how many guys do you need that aren't going to stack defenders consistently? Kyle Williams is the slot guy. You know who I like, man? And he's sort of in the Jack Besh mode, but I think he's a better athlete. I'd look to Slaw out of Arkansas. Like he's big target. He's faster than I think we give him credit for. Juice Wells is still available. I'll leave it to you, but I just want to bang the table for Tesla because not a lot of folks are talking about him.
Yeah, he had a great end of the season again in the bowl game, the Liberty Bowl. Then he had a great Hula Bowl, which got him the call up to the Senior Bowl. So he's been stacking positive days. He's trekking in the right direction. Kobe Hudson is a guy I like. Let's go, Kobe Hudson.
All right, let's do it.
Kobe Hudson had great quarterback play this year at UCF. It would have shown that he's one of the top receivers. He had a good Hula Bowl as well when he had competent quarterback play. All right, now let's go
They are disrespecting Quinn Ewers. He is still available.
That's crazy, right? All right, let's go now to safety.
I'm sort of surprised, former Louisiana running back Emory Hunt, you haven't sniffed around the running back situation here.
I like the depth they have there in Tennessee, man. They got some speed guys.
So they got Tony Pollard, they got Tajay Spears. You can never have enough guys, but you want to go back to safety, so let's do that.
All right, let's see. The kid out of Tulane really did play well and ran fast, and that's a good defense, man. So let's
RJ Mickens has bloodlines. His dad, Ray Mickens, played. Keaton Crawford tested really well. He's a good player. Malachi Moore is one of the smartest guys in this draft class. Jordan Hancock is an under the radar guy who tested well. And so there's some choices here, especially at this point in the proceedings. What are you thinking?
Keaton Crawford. I love the length. I love the ability to match up and be a slot defender and also play on the hash from red line to red line. He has that type of range. So I will go with Crawford. Like you said, he ran fast, jumped high, explosive, and got ball skills.
Check and check.
All right.
Still around 5 here. Quinn Ewers is staring in the face. Puppy dog eyes.
That is absurd. Let's go Logan Brown, tackle out of Kansas. Again, you talk about their run game and how well they ran the football. Big reason why they have 3 draftable prospects on that offensive line for the Kansas Jayhawks.
And by the way, I like Logan Brown a lot. I think he has a chance to be a day 2 guy. He doesn't have to be a tackle right away. What you do is get the 5 best big guys out there and protect whoever the quarterback is. In this case, Shedeur Sanders, and then you figure out the rest. You don't have to overthink it, but I like the way you're going down this road in terms of getting big guys on both sides of the ball. And you got Bill Callahan. He can figure this stuff out. So start there and then continue to build around your quarterback. All right, we're in round 6 here. What do you got, Emory?
Tim Smith. I can't listen, watching his tape and watching how explosive he is off the ball, give me Tim Smith out of Alabama. Outstanding defensive tackle.
Went to the Senior Bowl. He and Rick Spielman are super tight. Rick works with Alabama, of course. They had a conversation on the podcast. And he's a quiet kid with a lot to prove. 5-star coming out, didn't quite live up to it at Alabama, but I think his best football is ahead of him. And that is a wrap. Say a quick look back here. Shedeur Sanders over Cam, Jack Besh. Emory's laughing. Jamari, hopefully laughter of joy. Jamari Caldwell, Gunnar Helm, Kobe Hudson, Keaton Crawford, Logan Brown, and the very last pick there, Tim Smith. This feels like a pretty good draft haul, Emory.
Yeah, I love point of attack emphasis. Shedeur Sanders already has a great run game in any iteration. They could be the 32nd ranked run offense, and it'd be better than what they had at Colorado. So you stockpile O-line, D-lineman, you get them a receiver and a tight end, get them 2 receivers and a tight end. I think this is a very solid draft for Tennessee.
All right, that wraps up the Perfect Titans draft class. Let us know what you think about it. I'm sure you love it. Make sure to subscribe to NFL on CBS on YouTube and download the With the Perfect podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and hang around because we're hitting all 32 teams.